Welcome back to Fantastic Comic Fan Presents. It's my indie creator podcast, and I am bringing on some Black creators because it is Black History Month, y'all. And I have Alim on. Alim was on maybe almost 3 years ago, and he back again. Alim, tell the fans a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so Alim Leggett, I am a husband, a father. In comic books, I am a pretty, what is it called? A self-published creator. I'm a writer. I am art director, sometimes a colorist. And yeah, man, I'm a lot of things, but right now I'm a comic book creator.
So, describe what Sweet Pea is for the listeners, and because they probably aren't familiar with your comic book, tell them a little bit about Sweet Pea.
Yeah, so the Diary of Sweet Pea is about a young lady named Amani Williams, 14 years old in Philadelphia. Her version of Earth gets bathed in this primal energy that gives some people powers. It transforms some terrestrial life, and there is a alien race that comes to harvest that energy, and another alien race that's in war with that energy. I mean, that other group. And then you have humanity's defense. And in the middle of all this conflict, we have Amani out there trying to survive it.
So, with all the indie comics and Kickstarters and all the publishers out there, what makes Sweet Pea unique among the comic books out there?
I think the Diary of Sweet Pea is unique because the concept of the power system and the way that our main character is interacting with her powers. You know, even though we have superpowers inside of the story, it's not a capes, heroes and villains kind of thing. You know, it's more character driven. It's about this girl transforming inside of this world and how it affects her. Her use of powers, I said, was very unique in that she creates constructs, but subconsciously. So she's not completely aware or in control of her abilities. So you see some interesting things when we start dealing with stuff like grief, trauma, and this the violent nature of the world that she's living in and how it comes out, through her subconscious mind.
So, what inspired you to come up with Sweet Pea? There's got to be some kind of genesis or seed behind it all.
I've had a creative mind all of my life, right? Between Dungeons and Dragons, the shows that I used to watch, I would create my own narratives inside of my mind, which I think is, pretty common for indie creators, things like that. You know, what's unique to me is my relationship with my daughter and being a father. She really changed my life and set me on a different course. I'm a different person because of her. I have four sons as well, but she's my first, and like she's the catalyst that started that change. So as a father, I have concerns of, like just the world that they got to come into and be a part of. It's a crazy place, for adults. And my little girl, I still remember her as a little preemie baby in the NICU. And she's still that little girl to me, but I have to also prepare her for this world. So all of that emotion and thoughts is all present inside of the Diary of Sweet Pea.
So, how many issues of Sweet Pea are there out?
Well, we got two issues out right now, and the third will be hitting Kickstarter on March 25th.
Okay. So, when you first put it out, what was the initial launch experience with for you as a creator, and then fan reception?
During the pandemic, I got into I had the opportunity to rediscover my artistic ability and talents. So that started out with painting and theory crafting, started thinking about, old stories that I had from childhood and teenage years and things like that. And then I found the indie comic book community on social media, which is, a very good resource for budding creators. And things just kind of took off from there. And we got that first Kickstarter. When I made the book, it was a fun experience. The Kickstarter was a little bit gut wrenching. Now I think the fans appreciated. A lot of family came out to support, and people from the community I know, but also a lot of people that I was meeting for the first time through those independent communities, independent comic book creator communities. We've done well in things like the Heroic Awards, the People's Choice. We came in the Elite Eight out of semifinals out of 100, over 100 different indie titles, which was amazing to me because that was up against people that were well established. So yeah, I think we're in a good place and the future is bright.
So you've been working on Sweet Pea for several years now. How has it changed in how you approach the character and the story? Has it changed and evolved much?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Writing the how I approach creating a script, my imagining of panels and things like that is just it's stuff that once you start doing, you get a little bit better at it. Working on other people's projects as an art director and seeing other scripts also helped. And I think that you can see steady improvements from issues 1 to 2 and definitely in issue 3.
So do you have an end point with Sweet Pea, or you continue to do it and just go on forever with it?
Well, I made a promise to put 4 issues out when I dropped the first one. I put issue 104 on the cover, and I intend to fulfill that promise and get the fourth book done. Now, once we get that knocked out, it depends on what the audience thinks. If you guys want to see more, I have a lot more to give, and I also have some new ideas to explore. So,
So you're an indie creator and you've done some Kickstarters. What advice can you give to some new indie creators out there to be better known?
to be better known, come to
Yes.
the Fantastic Comic Fan Podcast. That's what you can do. I'm joking, but I'm serious because, like it's guys like you and other people that create these platforms that give us a chance to get out there and be seen. Don't be afraid to call your local comic shop and stop in there, talk to the people, let them know what you have. They might be able to get you some space on the shelf. You'll be up there with comic books that you were reading as a reader and now in the market with them. It's an amazing feeling. So, just follow it, do the thing, write the script. Don't worry about making it perfect. Just write and get your idea down so that you can then go back and analyze it and, take it a step at a time.
Aline, before we wrap this up, you still now get the final word. Any closing thoughts?
Well, this will be out while we're still inside of pre-launch. So if you guys want to stop by the Kickstarter, check that out. You can follow me on my social medias, Sweet Pea Comic on Instagram and Facebook, as well as TikTok, although I'm not that active on there anymore. And, I think we're going to have like a great presentation, well put together. The book is awesome, and I'm working hard on making this Kickstarter, really shine. So please stop by.
Aline, thank you for joining me for the podcast. I hope to have you again and not take so long to have you back on. Thank you.
Thank you.